only like 30 seconds. I could have just been more patient. That's Dory and being impatient. So Dr. Serrano was just running a few minutes behind, which happens to the best of us. Trust me, it happens to me all the time. Hello, Dr. Ken. I'm excited to see your new video today, Dr. Ken. Guys, watch. Dr. Ken is going to drop a new video today about the standard Canadian diet, the brand new one. We got a brand new, awesome Canadian health guide. So watch for that video. That's going to be a good one. There we go. I'm so excited. Let me move back because I'm going to be too tall. Too tall, Dory, too tall. Hello.
Hey, Dory. Sorry for the
don't even be
mishap here.
No.
Gosh, I was just running from one consultation to another, but we promised you we'd be live with you, so here we are.
That's okay. We value your time, and we super appreciate it. And you know what? We understand what it's like at the clinic. It's not like, you're just doing nothing all day. So
I was just watching YouTube videos.
Right? On cool stuff, probably shopping videos, right?
Golf.
Golf. I love it. So first...
So how are you, Dory?
Oh, I'm so amazing. It was the best Christmas. How about at your house?
I was ecstatic to see your 10-year picture. We commented on it because, wow, yes. You've come along a long way, so congratulations there.
Oh, thank you. And it's funny, that's what we're going to talk about today, because for my people, they've seen me for the last year and a half. But you and I know that I've been on this journey for almost 8 years now. It'll be 8 years in July. So I want to talk to people a little bit about how it is a journey. Like, I didn't just come meet you, have weight loss surgery, and never speak to you again. That didn't happen.
That's right.
And healthcare here is kind of like that. So I want to talk to you a little bit about why what you do is different. And what I want people to understand is that over the last 8 years, you and I have been in semi-regular contact every 6 months, every once a year.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't know about where everybody lives, but I know that where I live, once you see a doctor, you get your treatment, that's that. You're done. They don't really care about what goes on past that, unfortunately.
Well, I can't really speak for them, but I mean, I'm sure all doctors would definitely like to have a little more time with their patients. Now, in our practice, one of the things that we are so fortunate about doing is that we have our practice set up so it's very patient-centered, very patient-oriented, if you will. And so one of the things that we do is, for example, whenever a patient contacts us and says, hey, I want surgery, whether it's bariatric surgery, plastic surgery, spine surgery, orthopedic surgery, whatever it is, one of the things that we do is we try to get on the phone with them ASAP so that we can do a consultation, whether it's a phone consultation, a video consultation, whatever it is. But we want to make sure that we start building a relationship with patients. And so a lot of patients are, the immediate thought is like, oh gosh, here we go. They're going to try to sell me something, but it's not, it's not at all. I mean, all we want to do is we want to get to know you as a person, not as patient number A0345, Yes. So what we want to do is we want to treat a patient, not an illness, number one, as cliche as it may sound. Now, or we could do a video consultation, like I said, where you can start saying, okay, well, this is actually maybe a little different, but good different, and now we can start writing our notes, developing a rapport, writing up your medical history, etc. Research shows that the more you talk to a patient, the more very specific information that can save a patient's life will come along. And so it doesn't stop there. Obviously, we do a lot of these follow-up consultations before a patient will come to see us. And then what we do is after surgery, we repeat the formula. okay? We want to make sure that you are getting answers from us, not from Dr. Google. And that way we can make sure that you are asking us firsthand. And we can tell you, I mean, whether it's something as simple as, you know what, change your dressings every 48 hours as opposed to every day. And so, little things like that make a huge difference in the outcome of a procedure. So, I mean, we have some patients that we are in touch with, years after we treated them for the first time. And we like that, okay? And we don't charge for these consultations because we want to encourage patients to do it more rather than this being a hindrance for you and potentially being a setback in a recovery.
Well, and that's a big thing too. I was looking into, some people asked me to do some research about where they could have their breasts done here locally to me. And everywhere I looked at, it was a minimum $100 for the consultation. So just to walk into the office and say, hey, I'd like to look at having something done, sometimes is that in itself is a deterrent from doing it, because you might spend $100 on the consultation and then not care for that doctor or not care for that facility. So it can get expensive trying to have consultations because everybody says shop around, check around, talk to the doctor, see the clinic. But if it costs you money each time you do a consultation, it limits how many people you can talk to.
I agree. I definitely do. Obviously, it would be great if we didn't have to think about money in that way, especially when it comes to health. But it is a reality. And so one of the things that we try to do is we try to be as mindful as we can with our patients' pockets. And so, I will say this, though. One of the things that I encourage patients to do is also, you want to be smart about how you spend your money,
yes.
But there is sort of like a slippery slope when you start going down that road, because
yes.
Then you start going into what I call your budget healthcare or your budget practices, and then there seems to be almost that patients are demanding that you lower prices for them. And I don't get involved in finances at all with patients because it's not my area. I don't like to do it. But in general, I think that patients sometimes start obviously sometimes wanting to get lower cost.
Yes.
But it can actually become a little addicting. They say, oh well, I got this practice to go from $10,000 to $9,000. Let me see if I can get these guys lower. And sometimes some practices unfortunately do it, and then this just encourages these practices. But you have to think about something is having to be sacrificed whenever
yes.
you're reducing these costs. And one of the things that we won't do is we won't sacrifice the quality of the materials that we use for surgery.
Well, and that's a huge one, because you're not wrong. There's value for your money, and then there's bargain basement shopping. And is that really how we want to treat our healthcare? It's the same as when we look at our food. You can get a 99-cent bottle of ketchup on sale.
That's correct.
But is it the best ketchup? You got to look at value for your money.
Yeah,
and
eating
really
healthy is not cheap, but I do encourage healthy eating. You do a great job promoting these things because, you want to eat fresh. Here in Mexico, sometimes we have a little bit of an unfair advantage because most of the areas that we eat at are organic.
Yes.
We have things that are so fresh, and so we're a little spoiled in that sense. But we live right across the border from San Diego, where sometimes these groceries can be 3-4 times more expensive.
Yes. Well, and availability is a big thing. I was actually talking to my girlfriend about that because she was asking me, about how you guys eat there. And I said, really, they're lucky. Everything is fresh. Everything that they use in the restaurants is fresh ingredients. It's locally grown. So you guys are really, really lucky in that way. But I always encourage people to do the best they can on the budget that they have. You know what? Buy
Yes.
what's on sale, buy what's in season, buy it in bulk and freeze it so that you can have it for throughout the season as well. Because
I agree.
we got to spend the money on our health. I mean, we budget things on silly things every day. I mean, we don't have any issue setting aside $2 to $4 for a coffee, or, you know, in my old life, I would have a coffee and a donut every day. These were things I never questioned spending money on. So
it's an investment. It definitely is. And, you know, we do a lot of spine surgery here for a lot of people in Canada. Alberta is a big area where we have patients for minimally invasive spine procedures. And one of the things I tell them, and these are obviously more expensive procedures, and I tell them, okay, sir, how often would you service your tractor? These are farmers.
Yes.
And they say, oh gosh, well, religiously every
Yes.
6 months on the dot.
Yeah.
Right? And I tell them, well, when was the last time you invested in your health being, in yourself? You know, when was the last time you gave yourself a tune-up, I tell them. And they say, well, you know, never. And so, I mean, it's funny, as humans, we, you know, the things that, you know, that keep us going, or financially speaking, or in our job, we pay extreme attention to, but we forget about our bodies, which, you know, are the main motor that keep us going.
Yes. Well, and from a farmer perspective, because I'm an Alberta girl and I got to go there now,
Right.
you spend the money to maintain your equipment. What is your most important equipment? If your equipment goes down, then everything else fails. And it's like that with our health, right? Like when the body goes down, nothing else happens.
Yep, exactly.
So I wanted to talk to everybody a little bit about when I arrived and that funny story, because I think that's a good one. Now, first, I want to disclaimer it by saying the lady who organized for me doesn't do that anymore. And things kind of went awry when I came to come down. And that's normally not how it works for you guys either.
No.
We had a delay in our flight, and we missed our driver coming to pick us up. And without knowing what to do, we just went to the closest Best Western to the border. And it's warm there. If anybody's never been to San Diego before, it's so warm. And we went up to the front desk and requested a room, and he said, well, we don't really have any rooms. And I said, well, I'm Canadian, and it is not that cold. I'll just go curl up on that piece of grass if you cannot find me a room. So he decided he'd double check, right?
Yeah.
Just double check, just to be sure.
He found something casually, right?
He did. He casually found us a room. Oh, look, I have a room. And we giggled. As we were booking the room, he said, oh, a doctor left a message here for you. And I thought, well, that's bizarre. Could you call him back for me? And I don't know what time it was there, but my watch said it was stupid o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was somewhere around 1 or 2 in the morning. I can't remember. But yeah, it was definitely, it's an outlier of an event, I would say. And yeah, we have a very well-oiled machine in which, you know, we try to account for events like this one. I mean, we have a lot of patients that come from sometimes Nova Scotia, for example, and they're snowed in 90% of the time, and so we expect some of these delays. And so the process is it's great. You know, we have a lot of great ladies working here behind the scenes, and they're the organized ones. They just make us look great, but they're the ones that make sure that everything runs perfect. Yes. And so we have our drivers that are waiting for our patients in the airport, texting them, sending messages, Facebook, you name it. There's something, there's like a plan B, C, or D, or E for everything now. And so because we know life gets in the way, and sometimes just certain things happen. You missed your flight, you were late to the airport, and in you were nervous at the time, you never called us, and then you got on the plane and forgot to call us. So, things like that. But we've had patients that forgot their phone, and so it's challenging. And so we have thought about a lot of these situations because in some way, shape, or form they've happened. And so that's why we always ask patients for feedback. If you could have anything done a little bit better or a lot better, let us know, because we have to be able to take constructive criticism and build on it and make sure that if we can make another patient's experience better based on maybe a few mishaps that we had on yours, then we've done a good job.
Well, and I can't imagine anybody having like a better plan and then a backup plan, because I wasn't expecting for you to be able to get a hold of us. So we'll skip down to where we were chatting on the phone, and you had a really important question for me about whether or not I had stuck to the liquid diet, and I want to talk about that next.
That's correct. Yeah, so we for certain procedures, specifically bariatric procedures, we have our patients going on a specific diet, and it's not like a diet where you eat this at 10 a.m., 12. No, it's just something. You have limitations as to what you can and cannot eat. And so on the day that you travel, that's when we do lab work, we do a cardiology examination. We do everything we can in order to make the surgery as safe as possible. And so typically when patients arrive, they arrive fasting so that we can start the blood work immediately. Okay, this is mandatory by the government here. You have to do lab work on every single patient, even if you have old labs, and a cardiology examination as well. So once we have all that said and done, we can check, and then get you into surgery. But in addition, what's very important here is that we're trying to give your gastric tissue a little bit of a breather, if you will, so that all the swelling can go down a little, and it can make our job a lot easier when we're doing the suture in your gastric tissue. And so maybe in a nerve-wracking moment that you had, you decided to eat, comfort food. And so that would have definitely delayed the surgery, and we would have had to postpone for a few days.
And the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because, believe it or not, I've had multiple people reach out to me and say that they were never required to do a liquid diet before their surgery, that they ate right up until going into surgery. And I was a little bit surprised by that. But I've had more than 5 people message me and say that. So I just wanted to point out how important that is if you've been assigned a liquid diet to actually do it.
Yes, it is extremely important. I can't speak for all countries, but I know that the International Society of Bariatric Surgery is definitely adamant about encouraging these practices, because it's proven fact that whenever you follow these practices, your possibility of developing a leak or a post-operative bleeding or any complication is greatly minimized when you do follow the diet.
Yes. Now, and let's talk a little bit about when things kind of happen that you don't expect, because I think one of the biggest concerns that people have when they're traveling for this kind of surgery is, like I had, my trip is booked for a set amount of days. If there's a complication, then what? And we did have one day stumble on my trip. I threw up too much, which made me swollen. But again, I've never had surgery before. I've never had an anesthetic. You don't know how you're going to react to any of those medications. And I'm Canadian. I just take things in stride. So when I was throwing up like crazy, I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to.
It might be normal, yeah.
You're not supposed to do that?
No, it's definitely not normal. No. And so, whenever we discharge a patient, it's because we're definitely sure that you're going to be doing well on your own, okay? Now, I know there may be other places that may say, you know what, just go ahead, go home, you're fine. But, just to get out of their hair. but no, not at all. I mean, if we tell you you're okay to fly back, it's because you are definitely okay, and clinically you're doing well. So that's why we keep tabs on our patients every single day after surgery. So let's say a typical example would be you arrive to the airport on a Monday, we do your labs, pre-op examination that same Monday, and then your surgery's on Tuesday, because we don't do surgeries on the day that patients fly. Now, once we do your surgery on Tuesday, we usually discharge you from the hospital on Wednesday, and then usually Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, you would stay in our recovery center, and then after that, you would be fine to go travel. Okay. Now, I know some patients tell me, well, doctor, but I spoke to another practice and they told me that I could leave the day after my surgery. Well, maybe, but we definitely would not feel comfortable with doing that, because that would definitely be something that is a little too risky, and there can be some complications that can develop easily 48 hours after surgery. We want to avoid that at all costs.
Well, and I won't lie, the last 2 days was the best part. I got to go shopping.
Yeah, that's true. So when a patient usually does that, that usually tells me that they're in good shape.
And we had a lovely time, and the drivers take you to do that as well. So there's literally never a time when we were unattended. There was literally never a time when we were just alone and on our own and wandering around Mexico hoping, for the best.
Of course. No, and I mean, I always tell patients, and I will address this happily. There are patients that say, oh gosh, well, isn't it extremely dangerous there? And I mean, I tell people, if you're smart about anything, about where you are or what your motives are, you should be just fine. I mean, I have lived in major cities in other parts of the world where it can get a little shaky. But I mean, if you use your common sense, you're going to be just fine. Okay, so if you come to Tijuana to have a good medical procedure, you're going to have an amazing one. If you come here looking for a great foodie adventure, you're going to find one. If you come here looking for great scenery, amazing beaches, and just have a good time vacationing, you're going to find it as well. But if you come looking for trouble, you're going to find it. I mean, I can guarantee you that, okay? But, we're a city that thrives on tourism, and I tell patients, visit. I have dual nationality. I could easily live in the U.S., but I choose to live here because I like it a lot better. That's my personal premonition.
Well, and I had an amazing time. I won't lie, though. There were people who were like, you're going where for surgery? You're probably going to wake up in a bathtub without your kidneys. But
yep. I've heard that more than once, I promise.
I know, right? It's funny how people will just say that stuff right to you as well, right?
Yeah, and like I said, you have to take those things with a grain of salt. Yes. Whenever you decide to do something that's going to improve your life and your lifestyle, there are usually some toxic people in your life that will try to do anything from steering you into a positive direction. It's human nature. It's horrible, but people do that, and so you have to stick with your gut. And if you're doing something that you set yourself out to do for achieving your best go for it. Whether it's this or something else.
Well, and there's always going to be somebody who doesn't think you're making the best choice. So At the end of the day, I encourage you all to do what's best for you. It took me 13 years from the first time I contemplated having weight loss surgery until I actually did, because I had people in my life along the road who said, oh, do you really think that's a good idea? You're putting your life at risk. Is it really that, that great? And I let them dissuade me for a lot of years. And to be honest with you, the decision to come with Crystal was an emergency. She had her hernia that needed to be repaired, and they wouldn't repair until she lost weight. So I think it was kind of, I was pushed into it at the last minute because it was a necessity for her. She needed to have it or die, and she didn't want to go alone. But for me,
you guys are like Siamese twins.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. So I really want to encourage people to make their own decisions and do their research. And the world out there is not as scary as you might think it is. I mean, there's no way you could be scared of Dr. Serrano. Look how sweet and handsome he is.
You're going to start making me blush. You got to stop.
Aww. You know, I do have to say it at least one time, because every time we get off live, all my ladies are like, he's so handsome, Dory. Like, I know, look how smooth I am.
Well, thank you. It's appreciated. Thank you for the kind words.
Awesome. So, do you have anything new and upcoming at the clinic that you'd like to chat about before we sign off?
Well, I mean, we are, like I said, we're always doing things to improve. We are remodeling one of our bigger facilities. Our recovery center just went a few remodelations as well. And about 75% of the nurses there are completely bilingual. And we are hoping to have a 100% bilingual staff, hopefully by mid-2019. Let's see. Well, in regards to our medically speaking, I think we're making a lot of strides in the spine surgery world, like herniations, lower back pain, things like that. We are devoting on very minimally invasive, and that's why I always have my little spine here to talk to patients about it. And so what we are doing is trying to make things as minimally invasive so that patients aren't terrified or mortified about the fact that they might need back surgery. Yes. Because most people will wait until the problems are too big and it's even too late for them to have surgery. So it's definitely an area that we are working on tremendously, and we are making some big strides. Now, in the area of bariatric surgery, we are also making things extremely as safe as we can for patients. We're using the latest generation of staples, for example, for the vertical sleeve gastrectomy. We're using less incisions in order to perform the surgery. And just because of our versatility and our dexterity in the OR, we're taking anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to do like a sleeve or a plication. So it's becoming more and more patient-friendly and safer. And so that we can obviously get you back working, quicker. Okay. In the plastic surgery field, it's amazing. So many improvements, and I would say, in order to make surgeries a lot, or make the results a lot lasting, and to make, for example, scar healing is one of the most common issues that we come across in the plastic surgery field, not just here, everywhere in the world. It's a common occurrence that we see. And so the scar healing field is getting a lot of gaining a lot of terrain, and making sure that this is evolving more and more and more, so that patients can be happier and the surgery can be performed safer. Okay, and we have a myriad of procedures, novel procedures like non-surgical treatments for back pain, for knee pain, shoulder pain. We do stem cell therapy as well for chronic diseases like MS, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and for a lot of other chronic conditions as well. And so I encourage patients that, if they have a question about something about their healthcare, that they can ask. The worst that can happen is, we don't know, but we can point you in the right direction. And that's a victory in and of itself. And because some patients, for example, are now coming over just to get their studies done, like an MRI, an X-ray, and any other kind of blood work. And then they go back home to Canada with their doctor and say, okay, well, the studies that you were going to do in the span of a year for me, I did them in a weekend. And so here they are. So can you get me into surgery a little quicker? So, some of the things that we're doing that are exciting. And so hopefully you visit us soon so you can do whatever.
I am
live
saving.
video with us here.
I am saving. Like, I have stuff I need.
Here. It's t-shirt weather.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I'm going to Vegas next month. You should so sneak up and see me. I'm not going to lie. I just decided.
Tempting.
I felt like going to Vegas for an entire week. So then I decided, you know what? I'm going to make a keto vacation. And I've planned events every day that I'm there that people can come join me.
Of course. That would be me. I mean, it's only it's about a 5-hour drive. 4 or 5
I
hour
know.
drive.
That's like.
40-minute plane ride.
Exactly. Oh, well, thank
I'd
you.
love to. Let me know what dates you're going to be there. We'll
Yes.
see if we can make it happen.
I will. I would love to see you. The last time I went to Vegas, I went and saw you in Vegas.
That is correct.
It was so fun.
It's amazing. Thank you for coming out and supporting us.
Oh, do you know what?
I have to say, Dory's one of our biggest fans, and we love you for it. We thank you for doing this with no agenda other than to, spread the notion of there is an option for this, and for trying to increase the awareness for other people that might be interested in, or maybe even have a serious health issue that they might need attention to. So thank you for doing that, Dory. I think it is important as a disclaimer to say that you're not paying me or we're not paying you to do this. We're just doing this out of the kindness of our hearts.
Well, and I adore you guys. I love what you do, and I was literally blown away by what you do. And when you have an experience like that, I don't think anybody could stop you from jumping up on the rooftops to go, oh my God. That was...
Yeah. And so we continually put things on our social media, so that it can be a little more personal, and you can get a better feel of who we are, what we do, what we're doing on a daily basis. Within the confines of the hospitals, obviously, and so that it's not so much of a culture shock when a patient comes over to see us, and they can say, oh, well, actually, I do remember seeing this somewhere in social media, or I remember Dory talking about it, or another patient. Yes. So, yeah, if you have questions, we're very very easygoing about, you can just say, hey, can you take a look at my case or my friend? Would you be able to help us here and there? And if we can help, we would be delighted to definitely do something to improve your health.
And thank you so much for hanging out with us, because again, you don't get paid for doing this either. So thank you so much.
But you know what? I'm very happy to do so. If one person said, hey, I think I might look into this, or I would be happy to pursue, at least learning something to see that, it's not just like they portrayed out in the media to me. So thank you for giving us this platform with your wonderful audience, Dory.
Thank you so much. Have an amazing day.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing. You look amazing.
Thank you.
I can definitely see that you've developed a good community where, it's all about positivity. So I do congratulate you on that, because it's in this world nowadays, it's very easy to be negative and have just be negative about everything and just find bad things to look at every day. But hey, it costs 0 cents to smile, and you do plenty of it. So good for you.
Thank you so much. Have an amazing day.
Big hugs and kisses your way, Dory. Take care, and say hi to Crystal and all the gang.
I will.
Okay?
I will.
Okay.
Bye, darling.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we got a quick 5, and we're going to be back with Dr. Ryan Lowry in 5 minutes, and we got a quick half an hour with him. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye, darlings. It's the best Monday ever. Just saying.